Okay, welcome back to another repair video here. This is going to be a bit different because I've already fixed this, so there's not going to be any troubleshooting. This is just going to be a video showing what I did and what I found. At the end I'll post pictures of the original symptoms and then during the repair and after, and as the series progresses there of the troubleshooting you can see what I did. But basically this board is a Killer Instinct 2. And it was sent to me in a lot of 5 other boards, KI1, KI2, MBA Jam, MK1Y unit, and 2 UMK3s. Now I've already got videos on the 2 UMK3s. One of them was the one with the 3 bad components and the blown U45. The other one was the one with the bad op amp and the U86 that someone had already changed and ran the bodge wire incorrectly. So I already had videos on those. The KI1, the filter cap for the audio had leaked all over the board and had eaten through the trace for the red output, for the color. So it worked fine except there was no red, and it was a quick and easy fix to replace the cap, clean up the corrosion, and replace that or fix that trace. So not really worth making a video on. And then the NBA Jam, it was not booting, and I just simply reseated the 2 PLCC chips and it booted right up. Very common issue, so that wasn't really worth making a video on. And the MK1 booted up, but it had severe graphics corruption, and it was a very easy fix because very commonly there were 2 socket feet that were bent over touching each other, and I just separated them and checked the rest, and after that it booted up and worked perfect. So the MK1, the NBA Jam, and the KI1 board were quick and easy fixes, so there's not really any reason to make videos on those. And I already have videos on the 2 UMK3s, so what that leaves here is for the 6th board, the KI2. And it just so happens that this was the most troublesome. When I booted it up, it had a black screen, and it gave me 9 test tones. You know, when you turn it on, you get the bong. That's the test tone. Obviously, a 1 bong is normal. 1 test tone is regular. This one did it 9 times. I powered up. It would go bong, 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 and it was a black screen. So, knowing that when you get more than 1 test tone, it's usually an issue with the ROMs for the audio or the audio circuit. So I took the ROMs out and quickly found that the socket for U36 was corroded. All the legs here down on this end were all corroded, and that was the cause of the 9 test tones. And then it wouldn't boot because the boot ROM socket was also corroded. And I'll post a bunch of pictures at the end. This is, like I say, this will be a different type of series of video here because I've already got this fixed, and I'll show all of the progress there at the end of the video here of all the pictures of the original issue once I fixed these 2 and it actually booted. This progression of how it started, you know, during the middle and then at the end when it was fixed. So you'll see all that, and I'll discuss it here. But after replacing the 2 sockets, I actually robbed it from a UMK3 parts board. You can see I got these 2 sockets missing. I robbed them from here and put them in here. So after changing this socket and this socket, it booted right up. I got 1 test tone, everything was fine. Until it actually displayed an image. It was very dark and it was all garbled. It had it looked like a RAM issue. Everything in the background was the wrong color. It was very saturated. There was distortion. It was pretty bad. And like I say, you'll see at the end all the pictures. I'm not smart enough, and I don't have the technology to be able to intersplice them here. I'm not heavily into video making. I just do the bare bones basic stuff. But so you'll see at the end all the transition and progression. But basically, it had video problems. It was very dark and garbled and corrupted and all kinds of problems. But it was very simple to figure out that the dark image was due to one of these inductors. I refer to these as fusible links or fuses. They're technically inductors, but you can see that I have replaced this one here. This guy has been replaced here. I need to fix my pointers here. Okay, so this guy here has been replaced. This is straight off the video ground off of the JAMA connector. And usually what happens with these will go bad when people plug these into a cabinet with a monitor that needs an isolation transformer and doesn't have one, and the monitor blows up. It sends straight voltage through the video circuit out to the board, and it takes out a bunch of components. So that was pretty much the case here, is that the video ground, this video ground inductor here opened up, and it was not allowing the circuitry to work properly. So I replaced it, and that fixed the dark image, but it did nothing to fix my garbled graphics and video issues. So obviously there was a chip faulty on here, and the problem is there's no way to know because nobody has the schematics. There's a couple of guys that have the schematics, but they are not willing to freely just distribute them for the community to use to be able to fix these boards. They want to have them for their own purposes, and I don't know who they are. I just, word of mouth, they say, oh, there's a couple of guys that have them, they won't share them, so that's fine. I don't offer services for these boards because of that reason. There's no schematics, and they're very troublesome to work on. Usually most of the problems are in this area here, because with the placement of this standoff along with this one, when people disconnect and connect the hard drive connector, they bend the board and it cracks a bunch or pops a bunch of solder joints in this area, usually the CPU. But that wasn't the case here. I inspected the CPU, all the legs were good for security, and I used my hot air station to reflow, and it made no difference. All this stuff was good, so this was not the problem in this area. That was all okay. So knowing that I had graphics issues and color issues, I was thinking it was a RAM issue. And there's two different sets of RAM here. This all over here is all RAM, like video RAM, and this over here is system RAM. I could have that backwards because again there's no schematics, but these are both sets of RAM here. And so not knowing which RAM chip might be at fault, I kind of just abandoned that theory and started poking around on these resistors here. Because this row of resistors right here, I have, forgive the bad soldering, when I zoom in here you'll see some of these are pretty suspect for solder. So disregard the bad solder. I haven't actually gone through and used the wick and used the hot air station to make this look pretty. I just got done fixing it, so I wanted to actually show it off first. I'll of course make this up here look better along with these. They'll look better, trust me, but I probably should have done that before I made the video, but I wanted to make the video. So these resistors here are all responsible for your RGB input basically. You've got all these resistors here are for red, these are all for green, and these are all for blue. So it's like, I think there's 5 blue, 5 green, and 5 red. Is that 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah. I got that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so there's 5 for green, like bias and gain and things. There's 5 for green, or blue, 5 for green, 5 for red. So I had to go through here and read these, test these. And when I did that, I found 5 of them were open. It was R71, R72. Let me look here. I have memory serves here. No, I take that back. It was R72, R73, R77, R96, and R97. Those 5 resistors were open. And you'll see at the end that I have a picture of it. The tops of the resistors were just blown open. So that was a quick and easy find, knowing that the input from the JAMA for the colors go right to these. And as a matter of fact, this line right here was the one that was corroded on the KI1 board that was causing no red. And this goes straight to, I believe, R77. So that was the cause of that. So I knew that these dealt with the color. So I replaced these with the correct ones. KI1 had no problem with this. So I read what these are supposed to read, the value on the KI1 board, and replaced those, or these here, with the correct values based off the KI1 board. When I did that, it made a vast improvement. And again, you'll see at the end with the pictures. But I still had some problems, like on Jago. You'll see in the pictures, Jago's shoulder and some of the other stuff in the background were still the wrong saturation color. Like his shoulder and arm, there were parts of it that were supposed to be skin tone shadow, but the skin tone shadow areas were green. So knowing that replacing these made a vast improvement and a good difference, I started adding extra resistors on here to change the value of these. The five resistors that were in question, I started adding resistors in parallel with these. I would add a 2.2 k ohm wire round resistor in series with these one at a time to see, okay, that one was too red, okay, that took away all my green, okay, that made it too blue, that kind of thing. So when I added the resistors to R72 and R77, I noticed that my problem started going away. It would get slightly better to slightly better to slightly better, so I ended up actually adding 3 2.2 ohm resistors in parallel with R77 and two 2.2 ohm resistors in parallel with R72. After doing that, my problem was gone. Completely gone. The board was back to normal. All issues resolved. So the thing though is that with the correct resistors in here, I still had the problem. It was vastly better, but I still had the issue. So I thought at that point, after putting the correct value of resistors in here, I thought, well, the next step down the line are these two LS273 flip-flop chips, because they're directly connected to all these things, and they also go over and talk to this chip here. So I thought maybe, okay, if these resistors opened up, they could have damaged one or both of these. So I changed both of these, ordered these from Mauser, changed them both out. It made absolutely no difference. So that wasn't the problem. So these were actually okay. The next step down the line was this chip over here. Now you can see here that this is a, what is that, let's zoom in here. Oh, too much, of course. I can't read it. Let's see. 16283 Alpha Tango Papa Victor. Now that's different from the rest of these. These are different. These are 162701. So from what I see, this chip here is the only one with this part number. So I couldn't swap it with another to see what difference it would make. So again, without schematics, I can't tell. So changing these resistors to the correct value and finding out that these are not the issue. I can't change this out because there's no other ones to swap it with to see if that's the issue. And none of the other boards I ever come across have this specific chip on it, which makes these so difficult to troubleshoot. I went back and began adding those extra wire-wound resistors to these. So after eliminating these as the issue and these as the issue, I started putting those resistors on there, and I was able to figure out what the correct rating needed to be to make the board be perfect. And it turns out that R72 originally was a 1K ohm resistor. It's supposed to be 1K. Well, I had to increase it to 1.5K. Adding the two 2.2K ohm resistors in parallel with this brought it down from brought it up from 1K to 2K. Oh, I'm sorry. 2K is R77. So after adding the two 2.2K ohm resistors in parallel with R72, it brought it up from 1K to 1.5K. And R77, I had to add 3 of them, and it brought it down from R77 should be 2.2K on a normal circumstance, 2.2K. So after adding 3 of the 2.2K resistors in parallel with it, it brought it down to 500 ohms. So the rest of these were all actually okay. Putting the resistors on these, it made a vast difference, but not an improvement. You know, it'd be way too blue or way too green, or not enough blue or not enough green, depending on the rating of resistor I used. But after about half an hour of experimenting, I found that replacing R72 from a 1K ohm to 1.5K ohm, and R77 from 2.2K ohm to 500 ohm completely fixed the problem. And you'll see at the end with all the pictures of how it turned out. And I'll go ahead and power this up and you can see that it's operating perfectly. So without the schematics, there's obviously some other chip that's damaged that when these opened up, it allowed something else down the line to go bad. But without the schematics, I have no idea what it is. But I was able to bypass that faulty chip by changing out these. There could be other resistors open for all I know. You know, I don't really want to go through and check every single individual surface mount capacitor and chip. So I just played a little Dr. Frankenstein stuff here, and I was able to change out the 1K to 1.5 and the 2.2K to 500 ohms, and that fixed my problem, so we'll just call it good. So I need to get the hot air station out and the desoldering braid and kind of clean this up, and I'll do that off camera, so forgive me about how bad this looks, but you can clearly see that you can unclearly see. Okay, you can tell here that R77 is a completely different type of resistor. If I can get this out of the light, you can see R77 is different. There you go. It's different, and then so is R72. It's hard to tell. So these two have been changed out again from 1K to 1.5 and 2.2K to 500 ohms. And I've actually, you can see here, I got the parts here from Mauser that I ordered. These are the 500, and I dropped one, and these are the 1.5. So, yep, I don't understand really what other component had failed in this, but I think this got hooked up to a machine where the chassis exploded, and it sent the voltage through, and it took out these resistors and something else down the line, I can't say. But changing those resistors out for R72 and 77, it's fixed. So yeah, a lot of headache and a lot of head scratching on this, but I was able to get it working. I don't offer service. I don't offer services for these because of how notoriously difficult they are to fix. So if you got one of these that's bad, Chad at Arcade Cup works on these professionally. So I would send him a message if you're desperate to get one of these fixed. But I was fortunate on the KI1 just being corrosion, and this one I kind of got lucky just using the process of elimination and a little bit of logic in the old noggin. So let's get the camera pointed at the test bench here on the monitor, and I'll power it up and you can see that it's working. And stay tuned at the end for all the pictures and the process of the troubleshooting and how everything was before and during the middle and how it turned out at the end. So here we go. Alright, board's hooked up. Let's see what it does. Alright, that's a good sign. There you go. So you can see it's perfect. And we'll go ahead and start it up here. There's no more miscoloration here on the 2 and everything is good. We'll start it. There's no more issues with Jago or anybody else for that matter. So yeah, that fixed it. Hey, I was able to do it, alright. Anyway, so yep, let me go in the menu here, and we'll scroll down to exit. I'll just let it go through the entire track mode here until we get through Orchid, and we'll call it good. Okay, we'll call it there. And there you have it. Stay tuned here at the end for all the pictures, and thanks for watching. Hopefully it helped you out. And we'll see you on the next repair. I appreciate everybody watching and the support, and it means a lot. I'm just a regular guy fixing this stuff, and I thank you for watching.